Good evening, everyone. It's a joy to be here, and it's a privilege always to be in the presence of the people and the people of God. And it is our duty as His children to give Him glory and to speak of His wondrous works. And it says that we will lift the sacrifice of praise in the presence of His people. So I want to just God at this time for His faithfulness to us all as a family, and especially to me as an individual. I want to just talk about a particular instance in my life where I had a near-death experience about 20 years ago. And then how that has, overflowed into the present. And how God, in spite of all the events that surround us and have given us, a lot of cause and to worry. We think that it's time to worry about us, but actually those are God's provisions for us to really lean upon Him and to trust Him. And these are all ways in which the Lord enables us to walk with Him. So what happened was that we had got married in the year 1994, and in 1996 my daughter was born, and 13 months later my son was born. And and at the time that my daughter was a small child, she was about 4 or 5 months old, when my husband and I moved to a place of which was like an outskirts of the city, and we were working together in an NGO which worked with the disabled. My husband had a government position at that time. He wanted to leave. So preparatory to leaving, he had applied leave. And we were doing this work. I mean, we were living on the premises, and he had, but for whatever reason, the government suddenly cancelled his leave and asked him to rejoin his work. So he was not able to do anything except go back and join. So with this very tiny baby, I was left in this very remote place with one small, like my baby was and my husband had to go back to his native town because his duty demanded that he should come back. And at that time, I had to go and tell the management that this is the situation. The director of the institution said, "Oh, no problem. You just continue. You just take over and continue." That was it. So then, in spite of my having a small child, I was just taken in charge to be the administrator of that, disability center. And anyway, then my husband used to come only on weekends. It used to be difficult for me, but I had to run a team of about 5 or 6 technicians. We had a quarters on the premises. The disabled people would come to stay. We fix their, their appliances and so on. And it was at this time, shortly after I joined the new job, that I had to also inform them, "Sir, that I am expecting again, and I expect to have my baby later this year." "What?" he says, "So soon?" Because my daughter was hardly 6 months old at that time. So this is the situation that we faced. And anyway, even after 1.5 months of maternity leave, I rejoined the work because I was so concerned about how things were going in the office. So with 2 tiny babies, I was in this work. And this was a place which used a huge furnace. I wouldn't say it's a huge furnace. It was a large furnace oven, in which we used to heat the equipment for making the artificial limbs. And so they used to draw a lot of current. And the wiring had gone old. I had written to the management and told them that the wiring needs to be checked about a month earlier. And this was, I think, it was in January, if I'm not wrong. And it was getting late that morning to go to work. I had to be in the office at 9:30. And at 8 o'clock, 8:15, 8:30, nobody is getting up. My children are not waking up. My husband is still sleeping. I have to go. Then I decided I'm going to have bath. So I went in and we had an old-fashioned boiler, if you remember, an electric plug-in with a tap. There used to be a tap and hot water will come. You keep it. And sometime during the previous day or two, it has worked. The insulation has worked itself loose and it had become live. I didn't know about it. And while I had just undressed and was taking the hot water, my hand came in contact with the boiler and the electricity was passing through my body. Hot water was the boiler. The boiler had been put on a stool and I'm trying to pull my hand away from the boiler, the right hand. And my hand was caught and I was very conscious and due to the force of my pulling, the hot water boiler fell down from the stool and fell onto the ground. The small bathroom filled with hot water. And then I slipped and fell till I was in contact with the boiler, and the boiler had water in it. The current kept passing through my body. When the boiler got empty, then it left my hand. It must have been several seconds, maybe 20, 30 seconds or more. Sure enough, I was right. There was a load contact which should have, a circuit breaker which should have tripped. When I came in contact with the boiler, it did not trip. So I was right about the wiring. It was just an instinct. And so there was this huge thing. I started yelling and screaming and shouting, and I was inside without any clothes on and had been electrocuted and burnt. Then steam was rising and it had covered my face, and I scalded my face. This four line up to here, above the scalp also skin had peeled after the incident. The skin over my eyelids, the water came up to the chin. When I fell into the water, it came up to the chin and covered me like this and went. So I was burnt from here all down, right down to the thighs, all the front of my body, completely, in hot water, steam and electrocution. This was the status. My daughter was about 3 years old, and my son was about 2 years old at that time. And they're just the two of them. Then one old grandma was there, and an elderly relative was staying with us, and my husband. And my husband, I didn't know what to do. The grandma said, you have to apply egg on the thing. So my husband went to the kitchen to beat up an egg to apply on the burns. And I am thinking, what should I do now? Then I started pouring cold water on my body for a long time. And after a while, then I said, how can I go to the hospital with this burn? How can I wear clothes when I'm all burnt like this? Then I thought of an idea and I said, get a nightie. I put on the nightie, soak the nightie in water. And because as I said, it was a remote place. There was no easy access, no transport also to the nearby, village that was there. It's a small town. And there was but there's a very good doctor there, known to us. He was a pediatrician and used to take the children, and he was quite well known to us. His wife was a very nice lady also. She was also a doctor. They both were running this clinic, plus he was a medical government doctor. So to take me there, then I got the idea. I said, okay, I'll sit on the bike. You take me in the bike itself to the hospital. And so that's how we went, with the cold water hitting me, and I was in shock. My teeth were chattering. And at that time, there was only one landline, and my mother's house landline wasn't working. So I called the neighbor. My mother was in Bangalore, about maybe 30 kilometers away. And so I told that lady, please send mommy quickly to the house. I had an accident. So she said, Cynthia she gave the message. She's breathing very deeply. Don't know, some breathing problem, she says. Actually, I was hyperventilating due to the burns and the shock while I was talking. So that's what. Mommy didn't understand what was happening. Two small children, and I'm going like this. So she just came, and she has to take 2 buses to reach our place, plus an auto or walk to the main road. So within about an hour and a half or so, I think she turned up. By that time, I was in the hospital, and then the old lady, that grandma, and the 2 children were in the house. So the little girl told my mother, my 2-year-old child said, "Mommy got burnt the boiler, hot water, and she's gone to hospital. And there, the doctor was they're very sorry to see my situation. They said I have 30% burns plus electrocution. So I was under a fan and the burning was so severe that I could not imagine. My hand became like an elephant's leg. All the blisters were so large all over the front of the body or everything. Then, the treatment started. And it was a small, small nursing home. They had about 10 beds on a room upstairs. So they covered me behind screens and put me in a very last corner for a certain amount of isolation. And they started treating me. Then my pastor came. Then my friend, who's a nurse, I think many of you might know Joyce Pramila, she came to look and she said, "Oh, they seem to be superficial burns." Then I could imagine, because I quickly cooled the body down. God gave me the presence of mind to cool down the body. So quickly all the fluids came, and that's why the blister was so large. But because of that, there was not any no serious scarring or damage to the skin or the muscle. So this is how it happened. But I could have easily died just because of the electrocution, or died subsequently due to the impact of burns. 30% burns, that too in the front of the body. If it's a large portion, all the important organs are also there in the front of the body. Anything could happen. And so it is known, it is even known that if there are second and third degree burns and the body reacts very strongly, losing the life is not an issue. I mean, it happens. Even the doctor's wife who was looking after me, the lady doctor, even she said she's healing well. It's easy. Even 30% burns, people can lose their life. So that was the time. And then I was asking myself, what is this? Why did this happen? What about my 2 children? But I tell you, when I came out of the bathroom and saw my 2 children on the cot and looking at my face, I was really grateful to be alive. I could have easily died. What would have happened to my children if I had not survived that electrocution? So much had happened. And the miracle didn't, the miracle is not just that I was saved. The miracle was that my mother landed up, but then she had to also look after 2 small children and walk every day to this place because there was no proper transport. So she was not young also. She was probably in her late 60s. And so she began to find it hard, I think. So I sensed that it's very difficult for her. And though my husband would come every day, bring the children and, stuff like that, the real work was being done at her end in the house. It's a big house also. The quarters were a large quarters. So we wouldn't get servants. There's no, because it's too remote. So then I thought it's better for me to move to the house, whatever treatment, dressing and all. I said, I'll come for the dressing to the hospital if there's no infections and all that. So yeah, in about 8 days or the 9th day or something, they said, okay, we can discharge you. You go and you come every other day for dressing, something like that. So that's what we were doing. So I came home. And because we were, as I said, we lived away from the city. I had to, and in those days we didn't have net banking, nothing. You have to come and present a check, only then you can draw your money. And there was nobody else to come. So I had to come. I took an auto and came. So when I called my cousin and said, I'm here, he was really shocked. What? You're out of the house? You're coming to the thing and in that state? I said, no, you can come and see. The healing is so fast. I'm healing very fast. I'm not even wearing dressing anymore. I'm only applying ointment. So it was an amazing, in about 10 or 12 days, the body healed. It is an utter miracle to the core. So that was how it happened. But the real miracle was not that. The real miracle was hearing the Lord's voice, the Lord speaking to me. People were bringing me books. You open the book, there is a verse which is quoted. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to preach the good news to the poor. You open the Bible, Isaiah 51. You open you open another time you open the Bible, Luke chapter 4, the same verse. You put on, in those days you used to have cassettes, tape. So you put on a tape, that verse probably. So the Lord kept speaking to me and bringing that verse to my to the front of my thing. And I was asking him, what is this? Why are you going on with this? And I said, Lord, what are you doing? Then he said, some years earlier, I had asked the Lord, what is my calling? What is my special gift? Tell me. So he spoke to me from the words of Isaiah chapter 50, verse 4. The sovereign Lord has given me an instructed tongue to know the word that sustains the weary. He wakens me morning by morning to hear from him, to hear the words. So his thing was that the instructed tongue, the speech. So all my life I have been gifted in speech. I can speak fluently in 5 languages, and a lot of times I seem to have the capacity to speak persuasively or well at others. And even since childhood, I've won lots of competitions in elocution. So the Lord has used my the gift of the gab, you can say. And then he said, that is my special gift. That was the gift. So then he reminded me about that. And then he said, I'll make you a voice to the voiceless before the nations. That was the special word he gave me while I was asking the Lord, why did this happen to me at this stage with my 2 small children? And as I said, I was in a very tucked away corner, and I was doing work which had nothing to do with my training. I'm actually a qualified, I professionally trained journalist and writer, and a social researcher, that kind of work. And I had very little actually any background other than an interest in disability. But actually the Lord used me to do a lot of good things. I was working there not 1 or 2 years. I worked for more than 3 years in that place. Supposedly I was filling in for my husband, but no. What happened? The Lord did a miracle there also. My husband, who had tried and was unsuccessful in getting a transfer to Bangalore from his native town, suddenly got a transfer without any, it was like magic. One fine day, the director called him and asked him what is well known to him. He asked him, what are you doing? Where are you? And then my husband explained that he had to stay away from the family because his transfer is not. And he says, oh, is that it? Find out where the post is. I'll get you a posting. And he got him posted right in the heart of the city in the directorate. So, of course, it was difficult for him. Every day he had to commute 15, 16 kilometers every day on the motorbike. But at least he was in the city and he'd come home at night and the children could at least see him. Otherwise, he was coming home only every weekend. And it was a great comfort to me naturally to have the husband in the house, even though it was not easy having to manage with 2 children and him, and do work full time. Quite a stressful job because you're dealing with the disabled and all their difficulties. I was also trying to raise some funds for the work, but I was able to do a lot of innovative things there. And I think I innovated physiotherapy activities which were necessary for the disabled. We had interns who used to come and do physiotherapy. Interns who used to come and we used to give certificates. Then I trained a whole batch of technicians who could go back to their villages and do the maintenance of the appliances in the villages. So these are all innovations I was able to do. Then I also started doing camps, going to the villages and not having the disabled to come here. Used to put everything in a van, all the equipment in a van, go to the village, take the measurements, come back, make the fitments, and take them back, and then do the fitting in the village. So that would save the all the from coming.
It is time.
So yeah. So this is the way in which God has spoken and worked in my life. Lost my life. He spoke to me, and surely after 20 years, not 1 or 2 years, it has now we are into the 9th. This happened now in the year in the year 2020, 2019, 18. God has brought me to a situation where I'm asked to do leadership in various kinds of situations, whether it is in political party or whether it is in among the Christian community, or nationally for women's issues, to be a voice for the marginalized, for the Dalit issues. So the Lord has taken that promise that was given 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago. He has really started to fulfill in my life. So this is the testimony I want to give, that all we need to do is listen to the word of God and hear it and then do it. And whether or not the Lord, whether or not the signs around you are are favorable or not, whether it looks favorable or not, the surely God's word is true, active, and powerful, and it will be accomplished in your life. This is what the testimony I want to share. God has been amazingly faithful, and I'm looking forward to the next 2 years as things are continuing to work, and God is going to use me at a national level. And I have traveled internationally as a result of this work, carrying out these issues. I have been to the UN not once or twice, but 3 times, carrying the issues of the marginalized, representing the cause of Indian women. So God has been faithful, and I just want to, commit uh, to hearing His word and doing it. And I thank you all for your for this opportunity to share this testimony, and also for your patient hearing. Thank you so much. Thank you, sister. All the sisters who are representing in Deborah Rise, for this opportunity to share. Thank you very much.
Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope for a life spent with you. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, oh so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. I'll never know how much it cost cost to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me.